Hello and welcome to this tutorial on simple linear regression by Analytics School Online. Hope you enjoy this session and get a deeper insight into the functioning and application of the simple linear regression model. In part 1 of this series, we have fundamentally established the concept of regression, its requirements to be applied to a dataset, and all the other theoretical and conceptual aspects. We've gone through with what, why, and how is linear regression applied. We've gone with various theoretical concepts about the model, including the assumptions, the safety checks, and the parameters that we need to calculate to formulate the model. Today, in part 2 of this model, we'll just learn how to import data sets, use data analysis toolkit in Excel, fit regression models, and calculate the summary of outputs, and finally the predictions. I would like you to engage yourself in this presentation so that you can practically understand with greater knowledge of the real world applications of regression. I expect you to have already seen part 1 of this tutorial, as some of the concepts and keywords of this topic have already been described in greater detail over there. So just a small note, a simple linear regression model is a very basic model and it can be implemented on various platforms and with different supporting languages such as Python, R, Octave, and other statistical softwares. But here we are choosing Excel as it is very quick and efficient in creating a simple linear regression model. Also, just for your knowledge, let me tell you that analysis or regression analysis in Python and R and such developed languages is very complex, as they have very advanced libraries in which you can change parameters with basic understanding of the model, and you can achieve very highly accurate models that which are not so easily achievable in Excel. So without wasting further time, let's just quickly get into Excel and start our analysis. So here we are on Microsoft Excel to start implementing our simple linear regression model. Now, first things first, let us first assure that we have what it takes to analyze our data. Now, this is the data analysis toolkit of Microsoft Excel, which is a must to use all your analysis model. If you do not see this right here in your data tab, like if you go to your data tab and it does not appear here, what you can do is that you can go to your files and then select options, and here in the Excel options you can press add-ins, and in the add-ins you'll come across this active application add-ins and inactive application add-ins. So because I've already installed the analysis tool pack, so it appears in my active application add-ins. For those of you who have not installed the analysis tool pack, it would appear somewhere over here. So you can select the analysis tool pack and simply click go. Once you click on this go, the analysis tool pack will appear right over here like it is right now in my screen, and then you can simply press OK. And just to recheck, you can go to your data tab and you will see this appearing right over here, the data analysis toolkit. And so we are done with this. Next up, we need to import our data set. So you need to go to data and you need to click on this from text. Now this window appears where you can select the data. Now I already have this data set in my computer, so I simply import it. Now make sure that you utilize this window pretty well because it's really important. Now in this video you are going to select how your data is going to appear in the Excel sheet you are working on. So in what is a delimiter? Basically a delimiter are special characters which separate the data in your raw data format. These are characters such as commas or tabs which separate each field. So if your data is delimited, or if your data is basically a comma separated value file, which most of the times you're going to get, you must select next, and in the delimiters window you must select the comma, and here you get a data preview how your data is going to be imported, and looks all fine. Let's press finish, and this is the place where you get the option of selecting where in Excel to import your data, and as it's already selected I can click OK, and here it is. My data has been very easily imported. You see how easy Excel makes it for us to import our data set. Now let us understand the data. My data has two columns, A and B, and it has around 300, I guess. Yeah, it has 302 rows of data. Now what does my data have? My data is basically the relation between the cost price of a particular product for a company and the sales price of that same product. So basically this is a profit and loss statement where this is my cost price, the price at which I created the product, and this is my sales price, the price at which I sold the product and made a profit of 2 rupees here, right? So $2. So next up, we simply go to the data analysis toolkit and we select the data analysis. Well, if you do this following me, you might be wrong because you forgot the first step. We shall first proceed with the first step of our linear regression model, which is to plot our data. Now you have to go to this insert tab right over here and click on this charts, and in the charts you'll see the scatter plot, and if you clearly select, you will have it right here. Did you see that? Did you just see that? How easy, how quick Excel has made it for us to simply plot our data. It has been so quick and so efficient that you can just look at it and observe that there is a linearity, and once you are done with it, you can simply shorten it, and for once you can keep it aside so that you make sure that you've already done your step 1. Now next up, you go to data and you select the data analysis bar. In the data analysis bar, there are various statistical methods which you can use to analyze your data, various formats, various parameters that you can use to analyze your data. But since today we are dealing with regression, I select regression and press OK. In this window of regression, you can see there are a lot of inputs required, but sooner you will see that it's very easy to understand. Now this is the input Y range. Now for simple linear regression or multiple linear regression, our input Y range is basically just one variable. So we select this right over here and we select the whole. Now let me tell you that we are not selecting all the rows of the data set. We are only selecting 250 rows of our data set. As you can see, I have selected only 250 rows, and you click here, and then again for X values as well, you only select 250 rows. I'll tell you why we are selecting 250 rows later in this course, but for now just keep that in mind that we are only selecting 250 rows out of the 300 rows available to us. So here it is, I'm sorry, 250 rows available to us. So here it is, I'm selecting the 250th row and I'm simply clicking OK. Now you can see that there is a checkbox named labels right here. Now if you've actually selected your top row, which actually isn't a data value, it is your label or your representation of your data, so you must click on this labels checkbox, because the Excel data analysis toolkit needs to understand that the first row of your data is not actually data, it is basically the column or the label of your data. So once done, this is the output options. What is the output in this data analysis tool pack? It is basically the summary of your linear regression model. So you click here and you can simply select the output where you want to display it. You can display it in new worksheet or a new Excel file basically, but I would like to simply keep it simple and keep it right here so that we can easily visualize it. And once we are done with all these selections, we are good to go. You can simply press OK. And here it is, we have the summary of our data set. Just to make it more easily visual, let me tell you how we read this summary. Now these are the, as written over here, are the regression statistics. Regression statistics are basically the parameters with which you can actually understand how accurate or how good your model is. Now these are pretty high values. We'll learn about how to use the parameters to improve the accuracy of our model in part 3 of this video. So presently let's ignore this. Now this is our analysis of variance bar where you get the various degrees of freedom. Since we have only one independent variable, so we have only 1 degrees of freedom. Now this is the sum of residuals, sum of squares, mean of squares, all of which we are going to learn in the third part of our video. So presently what holds importance for us is this right over here, this which we are calling the intercept, which we know as beta naught, and this is our x intercept or x coefficient, which we noted as beta 1. This is actually giving us the model. This is actually the beta naught and beta 1 parameters that we need to create our model. So now let me tell you why I asked you to only select 250 columns. The basic aim of our linear regression model was to predict values. So if we start predicting values on different values of x, we would actually not know if our model is actually doing good predictions or not. So what I tried to do is I divided the data set into two parts. The 250 rows that I have presently selected are basically our training data sets. They have trained our model, they have created our model. Now we are going to use the other 50 rows to actually understand if our model is worth our predictions or not. So let's get started. We shall first name this column as y predictions. So going further down till row 250th, as long as we've selected our model. Now this is the part where we start implementing. So you double click on this this cell and you type equals to, and you can easily see how we can implement formulas in Excel. Now just to remind you, our line equation, which was y equals beta naught plus beta 1 x, what we are trying to do is that we are writing that equation right over here. So just to write that equation, we'll simply select the row which we always keep constant, which is our beta naught. So once we've written equal to, we go up and we select our intercept parameter, and just selecting this box over here gives you the value, and you see M19 over here. Now just to reassure us, we press plus, and then it's our beta 1 which is selected, and going further down we select the value of x for which we want to make our predictions. So as soon as we come here, we simply click here and multiply this by using beta 1 into x1 and select x1 for this. Now just to give you a brief idea, our beta naught, the intercept of the model, and beta 1, the coefficient of the independent variable x, are constants. So just to make them constant, we simply select those two values and press F4 on our keyboard, which makes these two values constant. We do the same for M20 and we press F4 on our keyboard, and thus you can see these two dollar signs appearing, and these have made it constant. Once done, we can click here and we can simply press enter, and we see that some value has been generated over here. To apply this prediction model to all the other rows left, we can simply drag this box till the end of our data set, and once we leave it, we see all the values that have been created. Now what are these values? These values are basically our predictions. So just to give you a brief idea how good our predictions are, this was the actual value which we observed in real life, which is 89.899, and this is our predicted value, 90.99. So you can see there is a very small difference of 1 units, and as you can observe in the further data sets, 36.94, 38.065, 19.87, 20.76. so there is very tiny difference between different datas that we have actually observed in real life and the data that we have predicted here. So you can see that our linear regression model has done a very great job in making predictor for us. So that was all, my friends. We'll learn more about this summary output in part 3 of our equation, and this is it. This is how easy it is to implement a linear regression model in Excel, and I think you've learned how to implement on practical data sets, and now you can practice on various data sets available online for simple linear regression, and this is how you can actually predict your models and your values and create your own predictors. Thank you.